Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. Mega Zygarde EX is coming to the TCG. I mean, we already knew it based on the names of the set Summoner, but the card has finally been revealed, and honestly, it's okay. There's nothing too special about it. It's just a very chunky basic Pokemon with 310 HP, which is always something to admire. And there's a few other cards that were revealed that are also very interesting, potentially more so than the Mega Zygarde EX. So let's take a look at all the reveals, and thanks to Pokebeach for the spoiler. So starting off, we have a Binacle, draw 2 cards with its first attack, scratch for 30 damage, but the real feature Pokemon is the Barbaracle. Its ability, Stone Arms. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic fighting energy from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon. Now, this sort of energy acceleration is of course very welcome. Historically, energy acceleration from hand or from the discard pile are always playable and lead to very powerful archetypes. And of course, this means that any future or current fighting type Pokemon that requires a lot of energy all of a sudden becomes a lot more viable, because now you can get that natural energy acceleration going into it. Now, of course, the intention of this is to power up the Mega Zygarde EX, which does feature 2 very costly attacks. First off, Gaia Wave, 200 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. So a chunky 310 HP Pokemon that is already tanking quite a bit of damage with that huge HP, and then you get to reduce that damage even further, and probably combined with some sort of healing with the Ice Cream card and whatnot. That's gonna make Mega Zygarde a tough cookie to take down. And then we have the Muniki Zero attack. That's probably gonna be like the last light or something like that. Translated, it costs 5 energy. I don't remember seeing a 5 energy attack for a long time now. But for each of your opponent's Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 150 damage to that Pokemon. So if you enjoy coin flips, I feel like this is gonna lead to a lot of really cool content-based situations for sure, with the hilarious shenanigans that will ensue. Flipping coins, flipping heads in the right Pokemon, flipping heads in the wrong Pokemon. 5 energy is a lot, so it'll probably take you like 2 turns to power up, and then you're not really threatening 1 KOs on many things. Maybe we'll get a card that makes it so that the coin flips during our turn are always heads, and then all of a sudden this attack becomes insane. But for now, I think it's pretty gimmicky. And then combined with that, we'll see the other cards again. Goes the core memory, right? Which is like the middle ground between both attacks. Costs 4 fighting energy. It is a tool card that can be attached to Mega Zygarde EX, and it provides the attack Geobuster, which does 350 damage, and you discard all energy from this Pokemon. Now, that's pretty powerful overall. 300 damage covers most of the Mega Evolutions and under. It doesn't cover the newer Stage 2 Mega Evolutions though, but overall, it should be pretty good as a way to just dish that damage. Now, losing all the energy, of course, hurts, and that's where Tarragon, the supporter, can come in, as these cards will be released or will be legal for tournament play when rotation happens. So Superior Energy Retrieval will no longer be legal, but Tarragon lets you put up to 4 in any combination of fighting Pokemon and basic fighting energy from your discard pile into your hand. So the fighting type Tulip supporter, if you will, which Alakazam decks have been playing as of late, Tarragon offers that. After your discard, you can recover your Barbaracles that were knocked out along the way. You can recover a Mega Zygarde and 3 basic fighting energy to go along with it, power it up, and start using Gaia Wave immediately. And now this is a very niche supporter, but we do have Meowth EX, and many of you, probably most of you watching this video, will remember Luminion V's ability, Luminous Call, and how powerful that was, being able to search for a supporter on your first turn of an Ultra Ball. That combo has historically been insane, and it's back. Yeah, Meowth EX's trump card catch. When you place Pokemon from your hand to your bench during your turn, you may use this ability. Search your deck for a support card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So that ability is back. For you old heads like myself, you'll probably remember Tabulele GX, right? So we keep getting this ability back. We no longer have the powerful attack that Tabulele GX had. Talktail, 60 damage, and return this card and all cards attached to it to your hand is decent, but also costs 3 energy. So I don't think you'll be powering that up anytime soon. But overall, Meowth EX as a 1 of inclusion or 2 of inclusion will probably make it so that a lot of decks become a lot more consistent. Right now, all of a sudden you have 4 Lily and 4 Ultra Ball to find your Lily on turn 1 to get going. Or you have 4 Ultra Ball and however many bosses orders and your Meowth in order to close out a game where you just need bosses orders to win, right? So between Fezandipity X, Mew EX, and now Meowth EX, this will certainly make it so that decks are very consistent early game and also very consistent late game. Now, next we have the Pokepad, which had been previously revealed, but I had not covered. It's one of the best Pokemon search cards ever printed, I would say. You search your deck for a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So now you no longer have to discard your whole hand in order to get a Dracloak or a Charmeleon or a Pidgeotto. You can just now Pokepad for whatever card. I mean, Pidgeot will be rotating. You can still search for a legal Pidgeotto, I guess, but Pidgeot EX will be rotating. But anyways, this finds you your stage 1, your basic, or even your stage 2 that doesn't have a rule box, such as Meganium, such as Emboar, which are getting their mega counterparts, and they could become playable decks in the future. So Pokepad, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't an immediate 2 to 4 of in pretty much every deck that exists at the moment. Then we have Naveen, another interesting supporter now that we are losing quite a few of the powerful draw ones from rotation. Discard any number of cards from your hand and draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. Of course, there's decks like, for example, any electric box decks that can really utilize discarding the lightning energies so that then you can recover them with your electric. I'm sure there's going to be decks that synergize with this. All right, but compared to Morty's Conviction, for example, I'm not sure Naveen is strong enough. It feels like a very mid supporter overall, but I could be wrong. I feel like most decks will be relying on both Lily and Judge in order to, as their core supporter lineup. So I'm not sure where Naveen fits into that. If it was drawn until you have 6 or even 7, then this would be a pretty good supporter. But 5, I'm not sure it's gonna be good enough. And next we have Lumio City, which honestly feels like a pretty bad stadium. Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto their bench. Then that player shuffles their deck, and if a player uses this effect, their turn ends. Now, pretty mediocre for sure for your turn ending. We are losing Artisan. This is probably not a great replacement for that whatsoever. I feel like with rotation, people are always trying to find like, oh, what should I do to replace this card with this card? And the answer, is almost always there's no replacement, right? If there was a 1-to-1 replacement, then you wouldn't be asking the question. So Lumio City, I'm sure like this is so specific to like your turn ending that I imagine there might be some Pokemon we might be getting in the future that their ability activates once your turn ends. That's the only thing that I'm thinking of. I think I remember Radiant Venusaur had such an ability, right? When your turn ended, if you had less than 4 cards in your hand, you drew up until you had 4. Something along those lines is maybe what I could envision seeing. Maybe there's there's plenty of other cards we don't know exist yet. So I'm sure there's going to be at least one ability that goes in tandem with Lumio City. How powerful will it be will determine how mediocre or how good this stadium ends up becoming. And then finally, we have the Rock Fighting Energy, which is essentially a mist energy but for fighting Pokemon. It prevents all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon that to fighting Pokemon this card is attached to. Obviously goes really nice with Mega Zygarde EX, but this also probably means that we are going to see the return of the type-specific special energy. We're going to see a special dark energy, a special metal, special water, etc. for all the types, all of them with different effects. We already had that with Sword and Shield. We had all of those cards released, and they were pretty impactful overall. The colorless energy was called Powerful Energy, increased the damage, and we all know how much Lugia abused that. Metal Energy will probably reduce damage. The Water Energy will probably heal some sort of special condition. The Fire Energy will probably burn on attack or something along those lines. We'll have to see, but I'm sure we will get a lot of these, and at least one for each type. I would be very surprised if we didn't get that, right? And then we have another Mega reveal, the Mega Gallade EX, a stage 2 with the Gale Cut attack doing 50 damage plus 150 if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it. So pretty powerful for a single energy if you have at least 10 damage on you, which always means your HP will be reduced. 1 energy for 200 damage is pretty decent, but I think the whole idea of like these huge HP stage 2 Pokemon EXs are worth 3 prizes is probably to combine with Wally's Compassion, right? In order to heal them, you return the energy, but then if you heal your Mega Gallade and you take away all the energy, all of a sudden now you're just doing 50 damage, right? Which is not very impressive unless you have multiple Barbaracle, and then you can power up for Marvel's Edge for 240, but doing all of that just to deal 240 damage probably doesn't seem worth it. The one good thing about this is that with Gardevoir EX rotating, the Psychic weakness should now be a good thing, as opposed to before where it was pretty bad. And of course you have Premium Power Pro and all the fighting type support that exists for Pokemon right now. However, I would be very surprised if this is not just much worse than a straight up Mega Lucario EX deck in the future. So nothing too surprising or nothing special until we see any other support cards. I mean, we have a bit of image here. We have the Roll Securely and the Premium Power Pro. Nothing else is telling us. Maybe that's the set. Nothing else is telling us that Mega Gallade will be anything but a decent Mega, and that's it. And then PokeBeach does inform us that all of these cards will be releasing in our Perfect Order set on March, leading into rotation that happens in April, and it will combine the other Japanese set, Ninja Spinner, which probably features Mega Greninja EX. We're going to have a pretty powerful, pretty big set featuring Mega Zygarde, Mega Gallade, Mega Greninja, and I'm sure plenty of other Mega Pokemon that have yet to be revealed. If you've been hearing or playing Pokemon Legends, you know it's all about Mega Evolutions, and there's also new ones that came out with the DLC. So I'm sure we'll be seeing all of that get released, and eventually the comeback of Primal Groudon, Primal Groudon, Kyogre, and Mega Rayquaza, the new DLC Megas that I'm not going to spoil in case you don't want to be spoiled yet. But yeah, lots of interesting things coming out very, very soon. But for me, what excites me the most is the Meowth EX, the return of the Luminous Sign, or the, I forgot the name of the ability, Tapu Lele GX, I really should know that, but the return of that ability, I feel like, really adds a lot of consistency to every deck. It also makes the late game super, super tight when your opponent can just go Ultra Ball for the right supporter, as opposed to trying to find it off of Fez, off of Mew, off of drawing, whatever. But yeah, we're in for very interesting times, I'm sure. I honestly wish we had rotation in January instead of having to wait until April, because we're going to see all these cards take into effect in Japan since January, but we are still going to have 3 whole months of Ascended Heroes, and probably not a lot changing overall in our metagame until April happens and we get rotation. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope this was informative for you, this perspective on the new card reveals from a competitive standpoint. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what card has you most excited, and if you'd like me to cover all of the continuous reveals that we keep getting in the channel. Thanks so much, and until next time. Bye. Si estás buscando algún producto o carta de Pokémon, puedes encontrarlo en hyperbeamcards.com y utiliza el código tablemon para un 5% de descuento en tu compra.